yourself out. Don't hide behind your work, because sometimes we hide behind our work. Let's not pretend that everyone is always in a high or is always showing up as their full self.
True.
Let's realize that people feel they have this imposter syndrome within. Again, for me, it's always, do I belong here? Because I think at some point I felt like, no, maybe I should take a different career path. Even after a few years of being in the tech space, it felt like, maybe I should take perhaps at a higher level.
Do they even experience it? Maybe they've done some work. Maybe they've done. But I know. Tell us where you put the confidence we needed, please.
True.
Because, I think this is why a lot of them don't wait to be 100% to apply for a job. They just apply 50, whether they're 30% or not, they throw their shot in.
There's a saying that goes that sometimes the things that we fear or the things that hold us back is ourselves. Right? So we ourselves are holding us back, because at the end of...
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Happy New Year, happy 2024. We hope you guys are well rested. I am Nomfundo Ndala and I'm with my host.
I am Tobeka Shabalala. Welcome. How
are you doing?
I'm good. Looking forward to a new year, I guess. New year, new whatever. And yourself?
I'm good. I'm quite excited for this year. We promise to give you a lot of consistency this year. We'll be standing on business this year, right?
Yes.
Right. So we want to thank everyone for the feedback we received on our previous video and the love that we got on our first video. Thank you so much. We promised to implement all the stuff you guys said we should implement. And you know what? So watch out. So don't forget to be on the watch. And we promise to be there for you guys.
Yeah.
So today we are speaking imposter syndrome, right? And I feel like this has affected a lot of people, especially in the corporate space. So, but just to give you a little background, what is imposter syndrome?
Yeah, sure. So I'll go to a definition that I found online so that everyone knows what imposter syndrome is, because we throw around the word and we feel like everyone knows about it, right?
Yeah.
So why not define it first so that everyone who is watching, if you do not know what imposter syndrome is, this is it, right?
Okay.
So it is a psychological phenomenon where individuals doubt their skills, abilities, and accomplishments and have a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud.
Sure.
So that is the definition
that's
of
deep.
imposter syndrome.
Wow. So another one I found on internet says it is a behavioral phenomenon, it's quite similar, described as self-doubt of intellect, skills, or accomplishment among high-achieving individuals.
Okay.
So have you ever felt imposter syndrome?
Sure, many times.
Okay, give us a story. Tell us when you felt imposter syndrome.
So I can think of obviously getting into the workspace. So obviously we are women in tech. So firstly, I'll start varsity days.
Okay.
Right. So like we said in our previous video, what happened was with me, I felt like a lot of people who studied in the space already had a start, you know, versus me who's just learning about programming, you know?
Correct.
So that for me was the first part where I felt like in matric, I was doing so well, you know, I was part of the top, whatever. And then you get to varsity and it's like, no, you are not. And the practicals were the worst for me. So theory was fine because obviously you study, you pass.
Yeah.
But when it came to practicals, because I didn't have the experience, that for me was the time where I felt like, do I even belong in this space, you know? So that's one. Number two is joining the workspace. So I had a background in admin.
Okay.
Even though I studied IT.
Yeah.
Then I get into a space where now I want to get into the work environment, and then they give you this test. And then it's like, okay, what I learned versus the test you're giving, like, I don't know what you want from me. So then again, it's like, do I belong in this industry?
So you start questioning yourself. You start questioning your abilities and all the stuff that you can do. And well, from my side, I only learned about imposter syndrome like when I started corporate and everything
Okay,
like that.
okay.
I didn't know the term, and I think it's because it was threw around quite a lot. You know, everyone was just talking about imposter syndrome this, imposter syndrome that, and I think late in the stage, I was like, do I have low self-confidence, or are people enabling the low self-confidence or the imposter syndrome rather? So I started asking myself, is it an external or
Oh,
internal thing? So what do you think?
Honestly, it's both. But before we go there, I think I'd like for you to share your experience of it. Let's not delve into like it yet. Like, how did you experience imposter syndrome? Did you not?
I have. I think I experience it every day. So I can't think of really one particular story, but I'm just gonna give like a backstory of most of the time it's when I have to do something or when I've done something and now I have to like put it on the table that look, this is what I've done and whatnot, and then either I feel small as if you didn't do anything, or someone makes me feel small. So which is why I'm saying I don't know if it's people
You
enabling it
or-
or it's just me. But in most cases, it happens that when I've done something, for example, when I have to do something, right? And okay, here's a good example. When I had to post our first video, I delayed. I
Okay.
delayed so much, and I think that had to do with it because it's just like, I'm posting a video. How are people going?
Myself.
Yeah, like I'm putting myself out there. How are people going to receive it? Are people going to mock us? You know, how's the reception going to be? Which was quite great, but I think I got a lot of fear, and you know, people easily say, you know, just like don't overthink it, just do it. But it's really not that easy because you get in your head so much. Which is why I'm asking myself, am I the problem or is society the problem? I don't know.
Okay, I'll answer your question. I say it's both. It's
Okay.
both internal and external, right?
Okay.
So there is a saying that goes that sometimes the things that we fear or the things that hold us back is ourselves.
As ourselves.
Right? So we ourselves are holding us back because at the end of the day, you'll find that you think that you didn't do well, right? But that's you, right? No one else said it yet. That is.
That's true.
And you are the one who's like, am I doing well? Do I belong? But then again, did
okay.
anyone else say it, right? But then on the other hand, it can be external because if you find yourself in an environment where, let's say, let me see, you find that you are surrounded by so many confident people, right? People who, when they speak, it's like they know everything, or they get asked the question and you're like, no, I know this person doesn't know. But guess what? Confidently so, they just know the right words to say. So again, then it becomes like external, like, okay, how come? Because I think we spoke of a similar thing earlier.
Yeah.
How come these, like everyone around me knows everything?
And I
And
don't.
until you have to realize, no, they don't know everything. They also from time to time go into Google and check, how do I write an if statement?
Yeah.
You know? So hence I'm saying it can be external, it can be internal, but more than anything, it needs internal work.
That's true. And so when you experience imposter syndrome, is there a certain way that you deal with it?
Sure. I'd say for the longest of time, I didn't know how to
Okay.
deal with it. Because for the longest of time, I still felt like, do I belong in the industry? And I think after some time when I've been in the industry, the external factor, I find myself in a space where I'm under a manager who just doesn't seem to be supportive. Then that external state that I was in then made me ask myself again, do I belong?
Do I belong here?
So for the longest of time, I didn't know how to deal with it until recently. What was said in one of the programs that I was in, right?
Okay.
So in one of the programs, they say, take imposter syndrome as a way to prove something to yourself. So prove yourself right, that you actually belong. And guess what? Every time you experience imposter syndrome,
Okay.
you see it as an opportunity to prove yourself right.
So sort of like you need daily motivation for this.
Yes. But now it's intrinsic motivation, not motivation from videos or whatever. You motivate yourself to say, listen, I'm proving myself right. I'm proving myself that I belong. So see it as an opportunity.
It's gonna take some work, eh?
Lots of work.
It's gonna take some work to actually be instinct that, you know what, let me prove myself right. Sure. But how does imposter syndrome affect you when you experience? Does it, maybe have a negative impact on how you work, how you deal with people?
It definitely affects how you show up, right?
True.
But then again, if the narrative changes within you, then it's a different story.
Okay.
So it changes how you show up because chances are you'll be given a challenge.
Okay.
Here's a piece of code, please check the bugs, fix it, or whatever.
Okay.
The first thing you will do is, which is something I find myself, like imposter syndrome doesn't go away, just by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It never goes away.
It's there.
So literally for me, if ever I feel it, sometimes it's a matter of move away from your machine, go take a walk, go do something else.
So it's just like, let me calm down.
Yes.
Okay.
Go away. Or even, I fear what I've been given now. Can I just get away from it?
Oh, yeah, you do that. You do
Can
that.
I get away from it?
You go, this is frustrating me. Let
me
me just,
go.
okay.
Let me go and then find your inner whatever that
Let me
brings you back to self, and then come back and then say, okay, let's see. What is the small piece that I can understand of whatever I need to do? Do it. Jump over that one hurdle. Then the next, then the next. And then by the end of it, you've finished the work that was challenging you or that felt like too much.
And just to also give context, imposter syndrome just doesn't, it's not for us women in tech. It's not for people in the tech space, corporate. No, it happens to everyone, be it you are at school, be it you are wherever you are, you are in your work, whatever work you do, and you just feel like you are being, either you're being undermined or you just feel small amongst other people. That is imposter syndrome on its own. So it's not really just about corporate. This applies to literally anyone and everyone, whether in varsity, high school, whatever you are experiencing, we are all experiencing it, just in different spaces and in different ways. So for me, sometimes it has a sort of a positive role it plays.
Okay.
So here's how. Not every time, sometimes when I experience imposter syndrome, right, and I feel like it's negatively impacting me, I try to look at, maybe let's say, for example, someone made me feel small.
Okay.
The thing is, like, when you ask a question and there's no question, there's nothing such as a stupid question, but you ask a question and then someone makes it obvious that you should have known, like, oh, but obviously, and if it was obvious, I wouldn't have asked. So I do this to myself. I look at the person maybe and think of all the times they've asked stupid questions, or all the times they didn't know something, like, but he also doesn't know anything. And then it just makes me feel better about myself.
Wow, okay, that's a different way.
Yeah, because I remember there was a time I think I didn't know something and I asked for help. And then now when the person was helping me, was making me feel quite small, because it's just like, oh, this is quite easy. Like, if it was easy,
I wouldn't be asking.
Ask for help. But as time went on, you're trying to solve the problem, the person's struggling to help me as well. So in my head, I'm like, oh, so you also don't know. you also don't know. So I think I just try and look at it like that. But if that's not the case, if it's just an internal thing that when I'm just the one that's feeling the way I feel, I don't know, man. Maybe I do the same as you. I just calm down. I listen to some music, calm it down off, and then come back, maybe sometimes I actually do listen to motivation just to pick myself up a bit. Maybe I listen to a podcast or a YouTube channel, whatever, or I listen to some really motivating music. I'm a hip hop fan, so
Hip hop.
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So it's quite motivating. It's like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. So I guess.
But I think, as we've said before, right? We'll have other people maybe with more experience who can help us out with such things.
Correct.
I think I'd really be interested in knowing how people who are maybe in the C-suite or, in the
Okay.
upper levels, like how do they deal with it? I'd really be interested in that. And I can't wait to have a conversation with someone
True.
perhaps at a higher level.
Do they even experience
Right.
it? Maybe they've done some work. Maybe they've done, but I know of a manager that actually once told me that they
Okay.
experience it. They are in meetings, but here's the difference, right? They don't feel it the way we feel it because they've told me that, sometimes I go in meetings that I don't even know what they're talking about, but
And
it
how
doesn't
does-
affect them the way it affects us because you start panicking. I don't understand. What are they talking about? You start feeling small. And for them, it's just I'll get the hang of it. I'll catch up with someone.
But there has to be a work that they've done to get to that level.
True,
Because
maybe.
Because one thing I've heard, right? Okay, obviously, from what we gather, then
Yeah.
is that they do experience it, right? And also, as they said, or I think I read an article some time back that it never goes away. Like it's
Yeah,
something
it doesn't
that
go
is
away.
always there. It's never gonna go away. So we're gathering that they do experience it.
It's just how
But
they
what is
deal
that
with
work
it.
that they did to get to that point where
It doesn't affect them. And I know of like certain people, I'm going to say this, right? And the disclaimer, this is not like a woman bashing woman platform, right? But it's just us as women also to empower and grow ourselves. But when I was Googling imposter syndrome, actually, there was a few questions that, those questions that pop up. So those are questions most Googled by people or asked a lot by people. So someone asked, do men experience imposter syndrome?
I think I also have the same question.
Do men?
Or how do they experience it?
So I know of a fellow developer, he does not, okay, let me say maybe he does, but it doesn't do anything to him. I've never seen
think-
him panic about not knowing stuff.
For me, more than anything, is the confidence that
They have.
men have. Like, like you said, compared to me or you or someone else, the panic mode sets in.
does.
Versus, I get asked something, as maybe a guy gets asked something, and they're able to worm
Just
their way
answer.
out of it, whether it's not the correct answer or maybe they find it easier to say no. I don't know. I'll get back to you on this. I don't know. Like there's a lot we need to unpack there in terms of the way they experience imposter syndrome versus us as women.
I think guys need to tell us, where did you buy the confidence? Just tell us where you bought the confidence. We need it, please.
True.
Because, I think this is why a lot of them don't wait to be 100% to apply for a job. They just apply, whether they're 30% or not, they throw their shot in. So maybe that's why they're always shooting their shots. Because they know, actually they practice confidence, hey?
From a
we
young
need to
age,
do-
even.
Maybe we need to do the same thing.
I think, should we move on to like questions that we might have found or people might have asked around imposter syndrome?
So firstly, there's a few questions that were there that people ask. So how does imposter syndrome feel like? So it feels
Sure.
like it's different for everyone. It's different for what you're experiencing
Yeah,
at that same
yeah.
at that certain day and time or whatever. But for me, it feels like I'm not capable, And you know that thing where when you know very well that, I'm capable and I can do it, but then you start doubting yourself. So it's like doubt. Yeah. It's like, like the devil starts
It's just
kicking in and
questioning
making you feel
yourself,
small.
honestly. It's more than anything, it's questioning yourself and again, for me, it's always, do I belong here? Because I think at some points I felt like, no, maybe I should take a different career path. Even
Right?
after a few years of being in the tech space, it felt like, hi, maybe I should take something different. Maybe I'll do better in whatever else, you know? So yeah, it's not a nice feeling, man.
It's not. Knowing very well that, look, you studied so hard to get where you are. You worked so hard. You've been doing the work to get where you are, and then to feel like maybe I don't belong here. And I heard someone say that women should maybe do like low code or less coding,
But why?
because then when we doubt ourselves, you know, when you're feeling panicky or whatever, you start doing stupid mistakes as well. And then you start doing the wrong things, and then it looks as if vele, you don't know what you're doing.
I know. I disagree with that. But anyway, that's just me.
No, I get you. I get you
Yeah.
disagreeing with the fact that we shouldn't be coding. But it's us as well exposing ourselves with this imposter syndrome,
Yes.
and putting ourselves that look, I'm doubtful of myself. Because someone once asked me, so I did a course, which is like not just like from, you know, those courses we do in corporate and whatnot, and it doesn't have anything to do with coding. And someone asked me, are you running away from coding? No, I'm not running away. I just wanted to do the course for other reasons. I'm not running away from coding. So then it starts feeling like, because he didn't say, are you running away from coding? He's just like, oh, look at you as well, running away from coding. And this was in reference to
okay.
another woman. So
Interesting.
maybe it's just a woman thing. I don't know.
But could it be then that we do other courses that are not coding related for fulfillment as well? If you feel fulfilled in one area, guess what? You'll show up for the other parts that feel like maybe I'm not valuable, you know? So, but it's just a thought. Let's not diverse.
But I think also, in essence, we really do need to do the work when it comes to imposter syndrome, how it makes us feel.
Yeah.
And because there's a question that says, how do you fix imposter syndrome? We don't know. How do you fix it?
Again, it's individual specific.
Yeah.
I think I have one that's interesting. Can employers address imposter syndrome in the workplace?
They can, and I feel like other employers actually do, which is why there's like seminars on imposter syndrome, and you know, all these webinars and web talks that they host to deal with the particular issue or topic around imposter syndrome. So I feel like other employers do, they realize it, and they take initiative to actually try and help. Because to be honest, if you're an employer and you realize certain issues and you try and solve them, your employees will try and show up to their best of their ability.
But I think for me, it's more than just solving problems, right?
Okay.
So it's also about how supportive they are, right?
Okay.
So like you're mentioning someone saying, if you're doing a course that's outside of the tech space, that means you're running away from it.
Okay.
Whereas an employer for me should perhaps ask it differently, right? Are you doing this because you are feeling a certain, like, how are you feeling, or what's the drive behind you doing this course, right? Maybe you might mention that, no, actually, I just needed some fulfillment outside of my work, and maybe I can be more valuable, right? And then they can offer you support either in enhancing your tech space, or maybe innovative things that you can do in the tech space, or they can help you in a direction that helps you if it is that you are looking for a different career path. They can be more supportive around those things. So realizing that, okay, my employee, is experiencing imposter syndrome.
Okay.
They don't feel like they belong, or they are questioning themselves, and then support them in a way that it's either you don't exclude them when you are mentioning other people who can do certain things. Because I find that happens a lot, where it's like, this and this person can do this, and then your name, you're still waiting for your name to be called, right? So that exclusion must be taken away, whereas you just say everyone can do the work,
Also,
right? So
quick
support.
now that you've actually spoken about the inclusion part, that also triggers imposter syndrome. Because if we are in a room and Tobega's name is the only one getting mentioned, and I'm
Yes.
sitting here, I'm going to think to myself, am I invisible? Do I not work here? Like, am I not being seen? Because to be seen is very important.
Yes.
To be seen, to be appreciated, that look, we see everything you're doing, we see your work. That is quite important. So you made a great point right there.
And not feeling like
Inclusion.
an add-on.
Exactly.
It's like, and others, you
Yeah.
know, featuring the
Others.
concert has this and this and this person and,
And many
others.
more.
No, guys.
We don't wanna be many more.
Inclusion, support, those are the big ones.
Yeah.
I think an employer can really engage in order to address imposter syndrome. And I think like the race question, right?
Okay.
Let's not pretend like we don't have different races within the workplace. Just like that, let's not pretend people around us don't feel imposter syndrome. Let's not pretend that everyone is always in a high or is always showing up as their full self.
True.
Let's realize that people feel they have this imposter syndrome within them. How do we support them, or how do we help them along this journey? Because a career is long, man, guys.
It is. It's almost a lifetime.
So yeah, that's how I would say employers. Please.
So employers, if you're watching this. Yeah, I think that's a great point. The inclusion and feeling like an add-on, it sucks. It sucks. It sucks.
Yes.
So, but then when you're like you feel like an add-on, or you feel like you're being excluded, you're not being seen, your work is not being seen, because you can do so much work or do a lot of work or important work, and then don't get like the mention like other people. Do you now have to, because if imposter syndrome then kicks in, do you now have to be like, okay, I need to take initiative and show up for myself and show them that, look, I'm here? Or do you then just sit there and be like, okay, I'm actually not being seen. Maybe I
That's
don't
a
belong
difficult-
here. Yeah.
That's a difficult one, right? Because sometimes if a person doesn't want to see you, they just don't want to see you.
And you know what? It's also not sometimes I think it's a me problem. I'm just too quiet. I'm not showing up. I'm not talking. But sometimes really people don't want to see you.
Yeah.
They see you, but they don't want to. They see you, but they don't want to
wanna
acknowledge
acknowledge.
you. They see the work that you're doing, and it's important. So, but they just don't want to acknowledge you for some certain reason. They know maybe they feel intimidated. You know, other people feel intimidated but won't say.
We don't know.
So if you're at home and you're watching this and you're feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome, we see you.
True. So besides that, okay, fine. They don't want to see you, right? Don't sit back, though. Honestly, do not sit back. Do the inner work, most importantly. And then, honestly, if the place doesn't serve you anymore and you have to exit,
Okay.
yeah.
So you can
So-
read between the lines there.
So honestly, do the inner work. Put, like what they always say, put your hand up for things.
Yeah.
Try
Put
your
yourself
best to
out
be
there.
seen. Put yourself out. Don't hide behind your work, because sometimes we hide behind our work. Don't hide behind your work. Be seen. But again, continuously check in with yourself and the space that you're in, because I think like we've realized it is internal, but
Yeah.
it's also external. The external also plays a big role in this thing.
Last question I have. The don't hide behind your work. In the Women in Tech that we recently had, there was a seminar, and someone asked that, how do I show up? How do I
Okay.
put myself out there? Then there were two answers from leaders, both
Okay.
women, and one said, you need to stand up and speak for yourself. And then the other one said, sometimes you don't even need to speak, your work will show for itself.
Okay.
So, what's your take on that? Do you work hard, work to the best of your ability, and just keep quiet? Or do you now, even if you didn't do like so much work, but do you sell it? Because I believe in selling stuff.
Yeah.
Like, because there are people who do minimum work. This is what they say: work smart, not hard. People do minimum work, but they know how to sell themselves, and it's like, sure, this person's working. Whilst there's another person very quiet in the background doing all the work. So what's your take on that?
So for me, it's speak for yourself. Don't let the work speak for you.
Okay.
I realized actually recently for me, right? So like we're saying, we want to be seen, but do
Yes.
people want to see you, right? There might be those few people who do want to see you, right? So in the tech space, for example, in our space, you'll find that there's work. Maybe you've got a big project, they've got the project for us, but one person is the one that's speaking to stakeholders.
Okay.
And that person is promising the world. They are promising that you will finish in 2 days. Let's say, for example, it's a task within the project, and they promise that you'll do it in 2 days. Guess what? You go back, you do not finish in 2 days. Who do they look at? Because that person is gonna get there and say, no, actually, no, this time it's not them. Actually, that person did not finish in 2 days.
And you
So
kept
now
quiet.
you kept quiet and you did not speak up to say, actually, this and this and this were my challenges. This is why I didn't finish in 2 days. Oh, no. It's not going to take 2 days. It's actually going to take 5 days because of 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
So hence I'm saying, I don't think the work will speak for itself. I think you should be out there speaking for yourself. I granted that sometimes there's no opportunity to do that, though.
Okay.
Granted, sometimes, again, the environment is not so allowing.
Yeah.
But if, as much as possible, you must be the one who says something about your work. You must be the one who is visible to the right people, so that they can see that, oh, this is the person behind the work. This is the person behind this system that we've been asking for and is so beautiful, or is lagging behind, or I can really find out from this person that no, these are the actual challenges, and not just be sitting high somewhere and not knowing what's happening with the person doing the work.
Correct.
So yeah,
Some really great nuggets to take there.
that's my take. But yeah,
So yeah. Anything else you want to mention?
I think we've covered men and women experiencing it differently, and who can experience it. We understand it's execs and juniors, and everyone in between can experience it, right?
Yeah.
And we've spoken about it being internal versus external. So yeah, I think for me, questions are covered from what I had in terms of research and what people are asking around there. On your side, any other questions that are burning about imposter syndrome?
Well, I don't have any burning questions, but I think that one thing I've taken is to do the work, and I think it's something that I'm willing to actually try and do. And maybe in a few months' time, I'll come back with feedback that, you know what, I was made to feel like this, and because of the internal work that I think it's more internal. External can be contributing. But remember that you cannot control people around you, how they behave around you. So, but how you react is important. So I think that we should do the work. So, yeah. So if you're experiencing an imposter syndrome, do the work, do the internal work in you. Could be also has a lot to do with low self-esteem, low self-confidence. It's a very much contributing factor to that. So Yeah.
I think I've just thought of something, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's a question or a statement.
Okay.
I think you spoke about it a bit, touched on it a bit earlier, right? Where we spoke about that many a times with men, right? They don't wait to be 100%
Yeah.
before they apply for a role. I think
Yeah.
we've also spoken about it in our previous video. So could it be that there's an element of perfectionism
With us.
within us or within
True.
people who experience imposter syndrome because you feel like, no man, it's all or nothing.
True. Actually, true. A lot of women wait to be perfect before they do something. So maybe it's because you're not feeling that
Perfect.
100%. Because here's a good example. A few days ago, a friend and I were talking about someone, a guy who applied for a role that they did not know anything in. They didn't. Zero. And they applied and they got the job.
Wow.
If I had to apply for something and I see that, oh, they're looking for this, I go and I study that thing before I actually put the application. So, could be a benefiting factor.
A factor in that.
Yeah, could be a
It
big
could
factor.
be. So yeah, interesting. And I think recently my experience around tech. Eish, guys, tech words. Guys, I'm a techie who doesn't like tech words, tech talk. Yo. So I recently experienced where people were talking tech. And it's stuff I should know, ne? But I don't know. I think I'm more about the
Just
word.
say it in
Or
English.
say it in English, right? So yeah, it also causes that imposter syndrome. But anyway, let's not drag it too much. So
Yeah, but you get the gist.
you get the gist. Internal work. I think like we spoke about self-care. Do your self-care practices, whatever it is that self-care looks like to you. I won't say 5 a.m. club. I won't say whatever works for you in terms of taking care of self. It can also be very beneficial in how you deal with imposter syndrome and anything else that actually feels like
Maybe
puts you in a bad place
we
wherever
also
you are.
increased the imposter syndrome last time when you said you won't break into tech in 6 months.
Yes. Yeah,
But you won't anyways. So
But maybe, like we said, I feel like we should have someone who has
will.
broken into it.
we will
And
definitely.
let's hear what they say.
We will. So do stay tuned. Yeah, that's it from us. Thank you for watching. Don't forget
Like, subscribe,
and click on the
share,
notification bell so that you can get notifications every time we post. So until next time, bye.
please. Bye.